Alright, I love a good bar style pizza. You know, the stuff that's so thin and crispy you can practically eat the whole thing by yourself. Let me show you how I like to make it. First, we gotta make this dough. Now you can do this by hand or in a large mixer. We're adding in 3/4 of a cup of water, 1 teaspoon instant yeast, 3/4 teaspoon kosher salt, 1.5 tablespoons olive oil, 2 cups all-purpose flour, and mix on low for 2 minutes. After everything is roughly mixed, you can increase the speed to medium, and in total, mix and knead for about 5 to 6 minutes until you have a firm dough. Now this dough recipe is enough to make 2 of these thin pizzas, so if you're making more, just double the quantities. Otherwise, my dough was still a little sticky, so I added in some flour, knead for 30 seconds, and then we're gonna cut in half and form into a ball. Then we're gonna take 2 metal bowls and we're gonna grease with a little bit of olive oil, and then we're gonna put the dough in there and cover with some plastic wrap. Now we're gonna let these sit in the fridge for at least a day. They can stay in for 2 to 3, and that's to help stop that rising process. We don't want this to be like pan pizza. So if you've seen any of my videos, you know I'm a big San Marzano tomato fan, and you gotta get the real stuff, so look for that symbol. Now I love this sauce because it's as simple as you can get. We're gonna make it right in the can and add a couple pinches of kosher salt, black pepper, some shakes of oregano, basil, red pepper flake, depending how spicy you want it, and then we're gonna take about 2 garlic cloves and we're gonna crush these and add it directly into the can. Then we're gonna add in our immersion blender and blend for a minute until nice and smooth. You can also use a regular blender. You can even use your hands, just make sure the tomatoes are all crushed up. Let's talk about my favorite topic, which is cheese. You can go with a standard low moisture mozzarella, but I like to go with Wisconsin brick cheese. I think it just adds a little bit of extra flavor. You're gonna need about 3/4 of a pound for these 2 pizzas. Talking about other essential items, you're gonna want a pizza stone for this pizza. It's gonna help you get such a good crust. You're also gonna need an aluminum pizza tray here. Both of these are relatively inexpensive. On the day you actually wanna cook your pizza, we're gonna remove the dough out of the fridge at least an hour before we intend to cook it. We're gonna flour a work surface, add a little bit of flour to the dough, and we're gonna roll this thing so thin you can practically see through it. I highly recommend you get a nice rolling pin and one of these large oak wood boards, as it really does help anytime I'm making dough. Now we're gonna grease up our pizza tray with either some Pam or some olive oil, and then we're gonna carefully transfer our pizza dough to this tray and push out to the edges. A really important step here is to make sure you take a fork and poke a bunch of these small holes in the entire pizza. It's gonna help us get that crispy crust and stop this thing from rising. For saucing this up, the goal here is to go light on this. We gotta remember that this pizza is gonna be pretty thin, so any sort of weight that you add to this is gonna cause a little bit of floppiness, which is not what we're looking for. Same thing goes for our cheese here. I'm adding it just enough to cover the sauce and stay away from the edges. And then for other toppings, I'm adding a little bit of pepperoni. It's nice and light. And again, just keep in mind any toppings you add on this might be a little bit heavy for the pizza. We're gonna finish it off with a light dusting of some fresh Parmesan cheese, and then we're gonna put it in an oven that's been preheating at max temperature for at least an hour, directly on the pizza stone for at least 6 minutes. Once that's done, we're gonna remove the pizza from the metal tray and put directly onto the pizza stone and cook for another 3 to 4 minutes until that crust gets nice and crispy. Once finished, then you're gonna add the pizza directly to a rack to cool for at least a few minutes, because we don't wanna ruin that beautiful crust we worked so hard to get. Cut into pieces, and there you have it, your bar style pizza that is so good. If you guys liked the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.